All right. I'm sure some people will join us as we begin our introductions. Again, I'm Ginger Schlanger. I'm from the DSCOOP Learning and Education Platform. I've got a great team with me from DSCOOP, Anna Molto, Andrea Martin, Jan Gunter is with us, and you are at Color Perception and its Effect on Behavior, Choices, and Emotions. It's an engaging and exciting webinar, and we are being led by Marcin Dabrowski. He's the founder and owner of EM, and he also teaches through his EM Academy. Marcin, if you go to the next slide, I'm just going to let everybody know that originally you are on mute. That helps us just reduce the background noise, but of course we want to hear from you as we go through the webinar. If you have questions, we ask that you put them in the Q&A window down at the bottom of your screen. That helps us kind of keep track of the questions. Marcin will answer as many as he can during the webinar, and of course we'll save time at the end for some Q&A, some engagement. We are recording today's webinar. It'll be available to you in a couple of days on dscoop.com. And if you have any questions after the webinar, or if you or your colleagues visit the recorded version, you can always email your questions to hello@dscoop.org or post them on dscoop.com, and we will get them to Marcin and he will answer them for you. And now, Marcin, I'm going to let you tell us a little bit more about yourself, color expert, technologist, patent holder, and we will let you kick us off and launch. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody. I'm Marcin Dąbrowski. I'm from Poland. I'm R&D engineer. Basically, color is what turns me on. What I actually like very much. I think I have a lot of luck in my life because the color, high quality imaging that goes with photography and printing as well is both my passion and my daily work life. So I would like to share with you several thoughts regarding color perception, because I believe that getting to understand what's on the basics of our interpretation of the phenomena as the color is can actually give us a lot of data how to communicate with each other. And I don't only mean regarding marketing campaigns or adjusting your printers, but I actually mean in your daily life as well. First of all, thank you so much, DSCOOP, for doing this together. I'm very happy that that we can do this webinar. Thank you so much for attending, because I know there are a lot of people here. So I'm actually honored that you decided to spend this hour to get to know something more. So, as I'm in the color for past 20 years, I'm very interested in color. Yeah, 20 years, I'm not kidding here. I'm a bit older than I do look. And basically, as the more deep I went into the color, the more I realized that the trichromacity, the complex formulas, spectrophotometers, and other measuring devices. Yeah, it's very important. It actually very much is, but it actually gives you very narrow space color is. And then I started studying how do we actually get the color, what's happening in us. But actually doing this from the biology side was not enough. Then I started going into something a bit more, which is anthropology of color. And that will be part of my last, I think, year or two that I'm going into the color. So it's not going to be extremely scientific, but I hope it will open your eyes onto a lot of different aspects of color. Basically, to start about color, it's not that easy, because we can try from historical part, but historical will go with primary colors. We have to know what the primary color is. So the light, perhaps. But well, the light goes into the physics as well, and as well as the spectrum, as well as the colors itself. So still not the best idea to do it. So how can we do? I think that starting with historical, it's not the worst idea, but let's do with the question that I always ask, regardless of the type of the color course that I have. So the first question, how many primary colors do you think there are? There is a pool, you will be able to give the answer right now. So everybody has a different idea about the colors that she is working with. So for example, if you are a web graphic or a painter or a politician, you will have a different idea about the colors. Yeah, but politician as well. So for example, web graphic might be working in, for example, RGB mode. The painter will be working in CMY mode, and the politician will ask you, and how many colors do you want it to be? So the funny thing is that everybody might have different agenda. What do you think about it? How many primary colors are there according to your...
We're going to vote right now. Everybody see the polling question. We're getting our answers in. Give you another few seconds to let us know what you think. How many primary colors? That depends. That's funny. 3, 4, infinite. All right, we're still voting, Martin.
Okay.
And I think we got it.
Okay, so what are the results?
What we see right now is the answer for that depends. 20% of the people attending think that depends. 57% of the people think there are 3 primary colors.
Okay.
20% of the people think there are 4 primary colors.
Okay.
And 3% of our attendees think it's infinite. Ooh, very nice. So that's what you got.
What's the correct answer? I would go for first 3. Why not only 1? Let me be very precise here. Everyone has different way of working, different way of getting their data, their color data, what the primary color actually is. This is a color that cannot be creating using the others that are creating the group of primary colors. So when you can use, for example, 2 or 3 colors to create the third color, that means that the newly created color cannot be primary color. So let's look at this the historical way, and then I will answer the question in full. So we've got 3 colors that were at the beginning. We are talking about black and red figure pottery painting, and that actually meant we had black figures or red figures painted on the vases, basically on the pottery. So we are talking about very ancient times, 7th to 5th century before Christ. Then we had a lot of changes occur, and I want to go straight to interesting part and the important part. Let's start with the important part. Then we have RYB, red, yellow, blue, and this is 17th century. Those 3 colors were chosen as the primary colors, corresponding to the painters. The painter palette are 3 primary colors, and actually this is the model that is still actual. So 3 primary colors for the painters are red, yellow, and blue. The black and the white were treated as a color modulators, so they actually do exist, but they they're making some changes into the way we are perceiving the color. But in terms of colorimetry, they are the same colors. Then the very interesting period, the Impressionism came, and we also received additional color white. Why white? Do you need white to create the color? Not so much, but think emotions when you are making pastel colors. So there will be colors that can be vivid, very bright, but still opaque, and they make you feel, well, actually they make you feel very comfortable. So the additional white color makes a lot of difference. If you can do this at home, please try to mix, for example, pink color using red and white, and do this one more time. Use a lot of water, dilute the red pigment, the red ink, and put it on the paper. So you will have white from the paper, and from the first example, you will have white using white and the red ink. So the difference will be actually huge. You will see that the white can change a lot. And then you have something extra. We are talking about cinnabar, we are talking about gold and ultramarine. There are three primer colors from the Renaissance. Those three pigments were chosen because of their price. Because they were so hard to get, they were also very expensive. So the demand for those colors was huge. So at that time, those three colors were chosen as the primer. But when we go further, right now we've got, as I told at the beginning, red, yellow, and blue. So what does it actually mean? When you are a painter, you are using those three colors. When you are a printer, you are using cyan, magenta, yellow, black. So you've got four primer colors. And yes, the black is very important. But when you are a graphic designer, the web designer, when you are a photographer, you are using red, green, and blue. So you've got three, but completely different. Do you need subtractive mixing way of colors like you're doing with ink? No, you need additive. You need red, green, blue, then the same system that you have on your screen. So everybody has, for example, the photography, we are talking about 1874, Nadar. He started coloring his photographs. So even though he was using only black and white, he was using only light, not in terms of color, but in terms of intensity. He was also using inks, paints, and he was coloring his photographs. So he was actually combining the light with the subtractive way of mixing them. So the way we create color is actually what we intend to do or what we can do. There are no very strict regularities that you can do this way, or that way. Sometimes you can mix. There is one very interesting space. It's called transmissive space, color space, when you are making prints on a backlit. And then you are using additional light that's on the back. So you've got printed foil, and with additional light, you receive new color palette. So like the city light advertisement. So what you are actually doing is you are once again combining two different color models, two different ways of looking at photographs, for example. So think about magenta, think about vivid pink. When you put it on a foil without backlit, it will be very, it will be opaque. Yes, but unfortunately, it won't be so interesting. It won't be so vivid. So when you are using additional light, it will change completely. Every single place in the world has its own color culture. Think about Scandinavia, for example. They are using very soft colors. They are not using very hard contrast. But when we go, for example, to the very far east, we will see a lot of vivid pink, we will see green, we will see purple, we will see violets as well. So the depthness of the colors that is in the Far East, like India, for example, Thailand, requires additional colors, because from red, yellow, and blue, you won't be capable of receiving that palette. So green, for example, cannot be mixed with yellow and blue to receive very vivid green. You need additional ink. So for example, Hewlett-Packard, the Indigo division team, used fluorescent inks actually to mix special vivid green and vivid pink inks, and they created special device links to make reproductions of photography for the Far East market very natural to them, because they are using such colors, such vibrant colors, and they needed those. So actually, it's not CMYK, it's actually CMYK plus vivid magenta, vivid pink, and vivid green. So we are talking about 6 primer colors. So what's the answer? It actually depends. You need to have the primer colors that are needed to your to match your goal. Color is relative. Color is for everybody else. For everybody, the color will be something else. So it's normal that if I'm going to change my shirt from blue to red, the color will change. It's also normal for a lot of people that when I'm going to change light from fluorescent to halogen, the color will change as well. So you have light that's using let's say it's full spectrum light, but we are using RGB cones. So in our eye, in our retina, so we are looking at the light as RGB. Then it's being lit by yellow surface. The blue wavelength is being absorbed, and we've got reflected green and red wavelength. So what we are going to see is combination of green and red, and that for us will give yellow, because the green and red in combination will give us yellow, and this is what we are going to see. So you have RGB connected with CMYK, and then you see RGB one thing more. So you need 3 things in order the color phenomena to appear. First, it will be light, then it will be the surface that the light reflects from, and then at the end you've got observer. When the light's going to change, the color will change. When the subject that reflects the light will change, the color will change as well. But when the observer will change, the color will change. And that means every single one of us sees the world differently. And this is something that we seriously should accept. Don't fight it. Don't try to convince somebody that no, it's not brown, it's beige. He will use the vocabulary that he actually has, and and using a lot of different historical elements from his life to describe color in one way or another. The color is 3-dimensional. It really is. We are using 3 words to describe color: hue, saturation, lightness. For example, we can use hue, saturation, brightness. We can do different color system, but we need 3 words. Those hue, saturation, and lightness are actually the basic ones that we are using to describe colors. We can add bright, the color as the saturated color. We can use the chromacity and vividness as well. So we've got 2 additional namings of the color. You can also use the word like the color is deep, so the deepness, the depth of a color. Basically, if you are going to read a lot, and I don't mean poor books like 50 Shades of Grey, but the proper books with vocabulary might expand. And those will be the words that might be useful to describe the color as you perceive it, as you feel it. The color depends from you as well. So everybody will see the color differently. There is additional name that we can use, and that will be the color is pure. Well, is it? Can color be pure? If we think that, for example, our perfect red is a certain red from Pantone swatch, then if we are going to make it darker, we might feel that this red stopped being pure because our red was very vivid and bright. And when we made it darker, we, for example, used some black additional pigment to do it. So at the end, we received darker color that stopped being as pure as we see the black. Sorry, as we see red. There's something more in terms of our feeling. We can have two different prints. One print will be made, for example, from inkjet press. Second print will be made from offset press. And you will see that one page, one color, one sample, one patch, although the colors are the same, you will feel that the one print is better to you, is superior to the another. The color might be less homogenic. The print might be not as pure as you would like it to be. So please look at those two images. At the top, you've got rosettes from creating the very bright gray. You have cyan, magenta, yellow, and a bit touch of a black. And at the end, you've got only very bright gray. So you've got two prints. It's actually the same color, but you can see it differently. When you look from some distance, the color will remain the same, top and the bottom, but the way you are perceiving it will be different. In here, you've got samples of 5 differently printed colors, and once again, this is exactly the same color as on every single patch. So as you see, the print can be pure, can be homogenic, and that will be results of a different way, different screening. So what's next? Then you can use certain way to communicate colors, like for example, using Pantone swatches. And the Pantone swatches, when you've got solids imprinted, you will have one pure color on the whole sample, and you will see that this color is rich, is full, is very opaque, and it will be also extremely homogenic. So that might be your goal. But when you are trying to simulate the same color with CMYK, for example, or CMYK OVG or any other system, then you will see it's a bit different. So you can actually do something extra, like creating special ink. What is color? Every single of us see color differently. I said it several times. I will say it several times more, because this is extremely important. And we can use different names to describe certain color. So you might have an argument with one to each other, because you will see one sample, but you will use different naming. For example, a lot of printers are using the word red to describe magenta and the word blue to describe cyan. Why are they doing it? When they have ink in large cans, the magenta actually looks like red, and the cyan also looks like deep blue. So they're using those two words. Of course, if they would be printing, for example, the calendars, they would have most likely additional Pantone red. So my question is how they would describe it: red 1 and red 2, the new red and the old red. So sometimes using certain vocabulary might help you And it also might give you into trouble, because when you're going and you're talking to a printer that is working for 30 years and using red as a term for magenta, when you tell him magenta, he might not know what are you talking about. So the same vocabulary is something additional that you should take care of when you're going into discussion, because everybody will be raised in different family with different books, different way of pronunciation, with different vocabulary, and at the end he might use different words, different palette for colors that you know. Let's start with green. Do you know why the surgeons are wearing green aprons for surgery, for example? At the very beginning, it wasn't that. They were using actually a white. So when you take a closer look at the photo from the Nick TV series, you will see that they are wearing white. And actually, this is an upgrade, because at the beginning, the surgeons were operating in suits. Then they heard that there is something like hygiene, and they should change for something else. So they started using white. What happened there? When they were operating and there is a lot of blood during the surgery, the blood stains were extremely contrasty for them, so they were unable to focus on the surgery itself, because the contrast of the white apron and the blood was so strong that they couldn't focus properly. So the green was red is the opposite color to green. So the green apron was done only to make the blood look gray. And it actually does that. There's one additional aesthetic actually argument to change it to gray. The surgeon after surgery simply looked like a butcher, with all the blood covering his white apron, and that wasn't the best message to send to the world. So the green apron changed a lot. But when you think about the medicine, you would like to think, you would like to feel the word clean and sterile, right? And green doesn't give you that. That goes with blue. The blue is very, very interesting color. It actually isn't that much, that old as all the other colors. Blue is difficult to find. The blue pigment is difficult to find in the nature. Of course, it exists, but when you compare it to others, like for example, to green, to red, the blue will be very, very, very small part of that. And I'm not talking about purple, I'm talking about blue. So what the purple is, right? For example, there is a Mota tribe from the Banks Islands, and they differentiate colors based on 3 categories: shyness, tone, and texture. So for them, blue sky and green leaf has the same color. Blue sky and green leaf has completely the same color. When we go further, there's a Himba tribe in the Namibia that count of 50,000 strong, and they have 4 names for all the colors, and those names are related to the day, to the part of the day when they go for the hunt. So they differentiate using the time of rise, midday, dusk, and evening or night. So they don't have blue in their language, not at all, but they can distinguish green very accurate, very precise. There was actually a test conducted some time ago when a lot of samples of green were on the circle, and 1 square from green was changed to blue. So you got green, 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 1 blue. And people from that tribe weren't capable of recognizing the blue. Why? They see blue sky and they do see green grass, but because they are not using the words to describe the color blue, they don't see it properly. They might not see it at all. So actually, when you are going to expand your vocabulary, your language, you will be able to distinguish more colors as well. Maybe not from day 1 to day 2, but during the time. The practice goes to your skills directly in this area. For example, in my language, in Polish language, I have more than 10 distinct words to describe color blue. When you go, for example, to when you go to England, when you go to the States, how many words do you have to describe blue? And I don't mean small, I don't mean the combination of words like navy blue or bright blue. I mean very distinct words. You've got ultramarine, you will have indigo, you will have violet, azure most likely, maybe sea, but what more? So you see, each language has its own way of describing colors. When we go to the blue a bit further, in ancient culture, actually gold sometimes was less prominent, was less wealthy regarding to your status than blue, because blue pigment was so difficult to acquire that the blue was more important. So the blue robe would give you more status than the gold elements on your robe. When we go a bit further, there was a wonderful time in art. Johannes Vermeer is a painter that painted, of course, the girl with the pearl earring. You might know it from the movie. And Scarlett Johansson played that girl. And he was using ultramarine to paint the blue areas. The ultramarine was very, very, very expensive, and it actually comes from the stone called lapis lazuli. Ultramarine, you might think the name comes from very deep blue, that it goes very deep in the sea. So this is the name of the color. No, it actually means is beyond the sea, because you would have to travel across the sea to get from, I think it was from Afghanistan, from the mines. The lapis lazuli was there taken and smashed into very tiny pieces, and after that you had the pigment that gave you the blue. He actually almost bankrupted his family because of his fondness to the blue areas of his paintings. A lot of colors, their names comes directly from the subject. Like, for example, orange. You might think that the orange comes from the fruit directly. Not at all. The orange actually was the description of the fragrance. After that, it became the fruit, and after that from fruit, it became the color. But did people needed actually additional color orange? Not so much. They actually had yellowish red at that time and additional color called saffron. Think about it. Saffron, it's a spice. Saffron and orange are not that far away. Now think about what additional memories you have when you think about saffron and about orange. Think about chef in the kitchen. When you are going to describe him that his new plate, for example, tableware or whatever else will be orange, he might think that it will be more inexpensive, it will be fruity, it will be fresh, it will be colorful. But when you give him the word that the color will be saffron, it actually can give him idea that it will be a bit more luxurious, it will be more prestigious, and it will be also a bit more heavy, because the saffron as a spice can do it for you. There's with orange something more. Orange is the new black, you know it, right? If we will go a bit beyond the TV series, you might think that it's a phrase that the colors, the chic colors from the black dress should be orange right now. But actually, it gives you a lot of additional meanings. So if there wouldn't be a Coco Chanel with their little black dress, we would have a little black dress. So in Polish, actually, we have shortened version, little black. And everybody thinks instantly that this is about very classy dress, a bit shorter one, of course, but there's also additional usage for this phrase, little black, and it's called for the cafe lungo. So it's a bit larger espresso with some part of water. And little black means chic, means style, means that you do something according to designers, for example, or you do it simply to show off. The black color itself, with some small combination and what happened in the history, gave us additional meaning. But the black has a lot of additional meanings, of course. I'm not going to go there. Let's focus on one thing, about one aspect. A lot of people are saying that white and black are not colors. Is the black a color or not? My question is, what is black? Is this black? Or perhaps my watch stripe will appear black to you. How many colors do we actually see? Some say several millions, some say 10 million plus colors. Some say several thousand colors even. Can we tell exactly how many colors do we see? It's individual for every single human being, because if I can differentiate more colors, then I can see more colors. If somebody that I'm having discussion with cannot do it, can differentiate significantly less colors, then for them, for he, for she, there will be less colors in the world, because he doesn't need 3 different names for one single color, right? So number of colors is individual for every single human being. Is the black a color or not? In my opinion, yes, it absolutely is. If we would go, for example, for the new paint called Vanta Black, so this is the black that absorbs a lot of light, like 99.8%, for example, and it means that you will see no shapes whatsoever, because the whole light will be consumed by this paint. And that will actually give you sense of so deep black that you shouldn't think about anything more deep than that paint. Does it mean that every other black is not black and it's gray? We have to make a definition. What is black and what is white? But still, when we make a measurement, like a spectral measurement, for example, those colors will be described somehow. So I see that white and black are colors.
Hello, Marcin. Marcin, we have a quick question about,
yes,
there's a question about, can you show us in an example how we all see black and white and neutrals differently? And I know you have a polling question for us that does just that.
Yes, I do. If we can like wait 2 minutes, then I will gladly go to this.
Okay,
yes,
good. I
yes,
just
easily.
wanted to, yeah, we're 40 minutes in. Okay, great.
Okay. The culture gives us also the background for meaning of colors. For example, there's a festival of color that it's very famous right now around the world. So people are running on the streets and are spraying themselves with the color powders. So it's actually a festival of color called Holi, and it comes from Nepal, from Hindu. People are dancing around fires, they are burning the devil, this is the idea. In the morning, participants eat, drink, and spray themselves with a colorful powder or colored water. Why? It's actually to increase their sexual activity and to stimulate fertility. Every single that kind of holiday has certain meaning in their culture. Of course, what do we like? We like the part when we spray ourselves with powder. Let's go to the red color. I actually enjoy red a lot. A lot of people are thinking that red might be the color of the skin. We've got Caucasians with white, we've got Afro-Americans with black, we've got Asian with yellow, we've got Native Americans with red. But actually, red color for Native Americans is a terrible name, because we can use a lot of different color names that would give us much more detailed description. The red color actually comes from the Indians painting their faces with the red pigment, the red dye. It was the color of war, and it was also to protect themselves from the insects. So not always what we are naming is actually because this is the color. Very often it relates to something else. So the history, the culture does matter a lot. For European iconography, red is evil, red is devil. Red-handed, it was actually a poacher in Scotland. It came from 11th century. Somebody was cut during killing animals that he couldn't do. And he was red-handed because he had blood on his hands. So now we are using red as a symbol to something that's, well, simply bad, simply wrong. When we go further, there was a scarlet letter A painted or actually sewn to the women who committed adultery. And the scarlet like red, was information that she was in shame and she committed an offense. What's more with red? When we look at matadors and the bullfights, the corrida, why the color of the cloak here is red? A lot of people might think that the red is because the bulls do react solely on red, or it makes them furious. No, nothing of such. The bulls actually seize the movement of the cloak and then they react. But it could be also green or yellow, it actually doesn't matter. But the red was very convenient in terms of dress of a matador, because if they got hurt, the blood that would create a stain wouldn't be visible on the red color. But let's go further. Red Bull, you've got the energy drink. But once again, red doesn't work on the bull. But still, we've got additional connotation. So when we are trying to use red, we are trying to make some statement regarding activity, that red here at this very moment means we are very active, something is happening, a lot of energy is being used there, or it's being as alert, as a danger. Red is also a color of China festival, royal red. We've got also, it's part of my culture, communism, red party. So when you are trying to communicate with somebody, like for example with my parents that used to live in the communist time for a long period, then for them the red won't evoke positive emotions at all. Red flag means also resistance, and it goes to French Revolution in 1789, as far as I'm concerned. So let's go to the question and let's go to the additional poll. You will see right now 4 bananas. Which of those banana is neutral gray? Which banana, A, B, C, D, is neutral gray? I'm sure that the poll will appear in several moments. Okay, here is the poll. One moment. I'm sorry. Oh, now I can take it off. You've got A, B, C, D. Which of those 4 banana is neutral gray to you?
So we're letting everyone vote. Almost everyone seems like it has finished voting. We have, wait, there's more. 82% of attendees have voted and 84. Give it another few seconds. All right, the answers are in. And what we see, Martin, is that 64% of the attendees think A is gray neutral. 28% say that B is gray neutral. And we have 3% for C and 5% for D. That is the attendees' answers.
So what's the real answer? The real answer is A, so most of you gave the correct one. I will show you once more. Okay, one more time. I'm sorry. Okay, so the banana B is slightly bluish. The banana C is as blue as the banana D is yellow. The banana A is absolutely neutral. Why some people thought that banana B, and I mean like 1/3, thought that banana B is neutral, although it is cold. The reason is very simple. When we grew up, we see banana as a yellow fruit. We grow with the synthesis, banana means yellow. So when we see neutral banana, we automatically add from our memory color to that. That's why for some people, gray banana looked like a warm banana, and they chose the colder one, which was banana B. And one more thing, banana D was more yellowish than the banana C was bluish. Why is that? Well, simply because we added a lot of yellow in our mind for that occasion. One thing more regarding color red and our memory. What are the colors of Christmas? We might think that the colors of Christmas would be green and gold and, well, a lot of green basically, right? But we feel that it's red. The Santa Claus is red, right? So, well, he actually wasn't. The Saint Nicholas mostly appeared in green or in tan outfit. And only in 19th century by Thomas Nast, he changed the color directly to red, and he painted the Santa Claus only in red. The White Rock soft drink in 1922 and the Coca-Cola in 1931 committed and 1933 launched the first ad, created the red Santa Claus with a silver, with a white beard, chubby guy, very smiley. So they put so much money into advertising, of course, the Coca-Cola red and white, that started to generate those memories of those colors. So because Coca-Cola invested a lot of money into those colors and to promote them, then a lot of companies started using red as well. When you take a look at the single, the first record of Wham! Last Christmas, yes, I'm talking about that Christmas Carol, then you will see that it's basically fully red. For them, like 80s, I think, the Christmas was red. And as you see, as you right now know, the red evokes a lot of different emotions, a lot of different meanings. For every single culture, it might be different. For example, in my country, there was a commercial. It's actually written down spring sale up to 70%. But I actually did check what the commercials were during the Christmas, and they were also red. They only changed the type itself, but they leave the colors. Red was Christmas, and they actually left for spring sale. Also, they didn't change to green. They left red to make it more visible. Is it a good idea? It's some idea. It's not the best idea. So one last thing that I would like to share with you regarding how we are being raised and how we are perceiving colors. Let's talk about gender, and let's talk about kids. So I have a boy and a girl. The boy is 2.5, the girl is almost 5. When my daughter was very young, she was given a lot of gifts, well, like every single child. And every single time when she received a gift, there was a question: do you like it? Does it go well with your doll? Or do you want to change her skirt or shoes, or do something with her hair? Blah, 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 blah. So there were a lot of questions related to her preference regarding color and in terms of aesthetics. What's happening with toys to my son? So automatically, he's given cars. Nobody asked him whether he likes the color of the bodywork. No. Is it fast? Is it sporty? Is it Jeep? Do you like it? That's it. Nobody talks to him about his preference regarding color. There is a gender-free movement right now. So a lot of people are trying to raise their kids without, I'm talking only about color, about being led. We all know, let's leave it here. We all know that blue is a stereotype for boy and pink for a girl. But my question is, which pink? The boy doesn't like pink, right? There is a saying in Polish that boys, men actually knows only 3 colors. I will say it politely: cool color, uncool color, and girly color. So those are 3 colors that men do know. And my question is, which pink is not manly? Venice pink, raspberry pink, Indian pink, panty pink, or candy pink? And you know what? In 13th and 14th century, Christ, baby child Christ, was portrayed as a child dressed in pink. So I wouldn't use words that pink is not manly, but something did happen. Well, we've got Barbie Pink, but if you would go to Japan, you would see something like Hello Kitty. So combination of white and pink gives you direct attachments to a girl. So not when you are trying to convince men that pink is okay, you are using different words, you are using different vocabulary. No, it's not pink, it's salmon. Ah, okay, salmon, I like some. Yeah, I like sushi. Yeah, I can wear it. So the colors are just names, and the emotions that are behind it can change the way we feel about the colors and the way we also see them. So beige and brown, not so nice. But the cafe latte, this is nice. It's just name. And this is Barbie Pink. Do you know that Barbie Pink is patented color? There's also one more, well, several more, like UPS Brown. The brown is strong, is steady. You can trust on deep and rich black. There are, of course, the Coca-Cola red. There is a Ferrari Rosso, also red color, but this color changed during its period. For example, the Ferrari F40 was painted with so thin layer of ink, of a coating, that you were capable of seeing the bodywork underneath the painting. So that would be it regarding color. I hope that it gave you a background that the color for everybody will be something different. The color is simply what we are seeing. But what we are seeing and what we are feeling are two completely different things. Yes, we can predict what will happen when we present certain color palette to a certain group of people. It's not that difficult. We have to learn who and what is our target at this place. But what's more important, we should simply talk to people that we will be doing, to our focus group, that we will be doing certain work, because they might use different vocabulary than we are. But when they will show you, they will point their fingers, this is too dark, this is too bright, this is too red. Then you will, even though they're looking at magenta, for example, you will know what to do more. Talk to people, learn about their culture. It will help you a lot. Ginger, can I present one more slide regarding my several webinars that I'm planning to do? So?
Absolutely. Let me just tell our attendees, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. I know we're probably running a few minutes over, but we certainly want to answer anything you have about color, emotion, behavior, anything Marcin has discussed. We're happy to answer those now and also get back to you later. So yes, please, Marcin, show us what you have.
So quite soon, in about 2.5 weeks, I will be starting, well, almost 3 weeks, I will be starting a webinar series regarding color in printing. I divided the subject onto 6 topics that will be about color spaces like color control, high quality printing as well. And then we will talk about how we can use different printing techniques in order to get the same results, and the pre-press, of course, about color as well. There you have link M-Academy with m-academy.subscribemenow.com. Please do sign in if you are interested. I will be more than happy to provide you with more information. Those webinars will be paid $10 for one, or $50 for all 6 of them. Each webinar will be about 90 minutes long, with two times 45 minutes with some break in the middle. I understand that it might be an intense subject. Webinars, of course, will be recorded and you will be able to access them afterwards. So even though you might not have time to look at them live, you will be able to attend as well. Thank you one more time for all your. Will be able to answer some of your questions if they are present.
Well, thank you. Right now, I don't see the questions in the window, but I would like to add to Marcin. First of all, thank you so much for your time in the history and the technology and all of your experience with color. Fantastic. The webinar sounds amazing. 5 sessions, 50 US, that's pretty cool. And all those different topics. I also wanted to mention the recorded version of this will be up in a couple of days, and we'll have your link to more of your studies and more of your research and workshops on that link and page as well. And again, if you have any questions, beyond this, or if you go to the recorded version, feel free to send them to us at hello@dscoop.com. And when you leave, you'll see you'll be given a 3-question survey. We sure would appreciate if you could complete that. It lets us know what we did well, what we could have done better, what topics you might be interested in next time. And again, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope this helps you in your discussions about color with your clients. And as Martin said at the beginning, in our relationships, words, descriptions help us understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, DSCOOP, as well. It was a huge pleasure to joining you all. Thank you for all the help.
To us too. Thank you. Stay well, stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you next time.